We have with us today Paul Koenig with Krown and Castle to give us a few tips for first-time home buyers. How you doing today, Paul?
I'm doing good, Vanessa. How are you?
Great, great. So
Good.
tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Yeah, so I'll give you my 30-second intro. Might be a little longer, 30 seconds, I guess. But yeah, I've been working on houses for about 15 years now. A lot of part-time, doing work for family and friends, but definitely trying to spend a lot more time over the last year or so. Worked on all my own houses. I'm 42 years old. I'm actually in my fifth house, believe it or not. But every house I've looked at, made some improvements to it, and been able to make some good returns on it. And most of that's just because you kind of get some basic skills and learn some basic skills as a homeowner, and then you kind of develop them a little farther, and just having some vision to take a space and turn it into what you want it to be. But interesting story about the name of my business, Krown and Castle. So my last name is Koenig. That actually means king in German.
Oh,
So
cool.
I
Okay.
thought, okay, king with the crown, but spell it with a K because that's my last name, and a castle. And, ultimately, the long-term goal is, when you think about a castle is a place where a king would live. And then when the king died, he would pass it on to his kids and things like that. So that's, I hope that I don't die anytime soon, but
Right.
I want to have a business, a kind of an established thing that I can pass on to my kids and teach them and help them learn. So a little bit of that. And of course, my faith is very strong too, and that's tied into the name as well.
Cool. Cool. Interesting. All right. So what advice would you give to potential first-time home buyers or just home buyers in general?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a lot available on the internet right now. Okay, and I've looked at over the course of my years, which I'm 42, which I probably shouldn't have said my age because that dates me a little bit, but whatever. You know, um, I've looked at probably hundreds of houses. Okay. Now, what you see in pictures is this, edited, photoshopped, polished, filtered, high end finish. People looking at kitchens on Pinterest and Instagram, and they're like, oh, that's what I want my kitchen to look like, and but then when they start doing the math, they realize that, okay, that polished kitchen that you looked at on Instagram probably cost more than your entire house budget, right?
Right.
And sometimes that's a sad realization is they get to that and they're like, oh, I can't have that. And it's like, so beware of the social media trap. Is what I mean. That kind of applies in general. Is you're seeing a little bit of everything. The 9 months it took to build that kitchen, the cost of the granite and all that stuff built in. Okay. Now I'm not saying that because you want to be disappointed, but you can take that same concept and really turn it into something very affordable for your house. Okay.
Yeah.
We live in a good area where houses are generally pretty affordable. Our labor rates when it comes to contractors are not through the roof like they are in other states where a kitchen is going to cost you 70 or 80 or $100,000. If you do some of the work yourself, you do some demo, get your hands dirty a little bit, you can build yourself with some help a really nice kitchen for a cheap price. So watch what you see on social media, get an idea of what you want. It's
Right.
a great place to look and imagine, like, this is what I like, because sometimes when people start looking at houses, they don't really know what they like.
Right.
And now they're looking and they're kind of confused. And it's like, well, do I like an open kitchen or do I want a dining room? Do I want an extra bathroom or do I want an extra bedroom? Or what are those things like, right? The other thing I say is that your first house will probably not be your last house. Okay. You're going to be in there for a couple of years, maybe 2 years, maybe 5 years, whatever it might be, but uh, it's not, the world we live in is not what our parents lived in, right? So you're these folks who buy in houses, their parents may live in the same house their whole life, right? We live in a very transient type society. The past year, 2 years, I guess, with the pandemic now, has kind of proven that people don't necessarily want to just stay in one area. A lot of people work from home right now. A lot of people have taken a work from home position so that they can stay home. Your family might grow. You get furry friends, children, whatever it may be.
Right.
You may start in city life and then you realize, you know what, I actually don't like city life, or you want the suburbs, or you want a remote trailer in the Adirondacks. Okay, whatever that might be. Keep in mind it's your first house. Okay, it does not have to be perfect. Does not have to have everything you wanted, because you'll probably get that in your next house, right? Once you get a little bit of experience. Okay. The reason I say that too is because if your first house is not perfect, I mean, mine wasn't. Our first house was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath ranch. It was like 1,000 square feet. Wasn't everything we wanted, of course, but we got what we could afford. But you know what? We did some work to it. We owned it for 5 years. We did well with it. And then you kind of take the next phase of your journey, right, into your next house. But the thing with this area too, that's nice about Western New York, is houses tend to appreciate in value at a 5 to 10% range. Now, the last 2 years have been a little inflated. You've seen some go up 15%, 20%. That 5 to 10 though, you can almost bank on that every single year. So if you're in your house over the course of 5 years, let's say, it appreciates at 5% a year. You've added 25% in value. Okay. Plus, you've now paid down your principal on your loan as well. Okay. So now when you go to sell your house, you've got equity there to work with that you can put into your next house if you want. Okay. So your first house, you can almost view it as an investment towards the purchase of the house you want or the house you love. Right. And sometimes when you think of those terms, you're not so much disappointed in, okay, this house doesn't have the open kitchen design I want, but you're like, okay, maybe I can work with this now and get what I want in a few years, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you kind of start thinking is a little more long-term. Real estate's very rarely a bad investment, especially in this area, okay? This area didn't experience the crash that the Californias and the Las Vegases and the Phoenixes and the Floridas did.
Right.
Houses stayed pretty stable, right? They didn't get that exponential growth like those areas. They don't get the exponential crash either. So you've got a nice stable area. The property taxes tend to stay pretty stable in this area. Utilities are fairly cheap in relation to other areas, believe it or not. I lived out of state for a few years. My electric bill was $350 a month in Alabama. And the gas bill was expensive too, and we didn't even use that much, right? So here it's fairly cost controlled. So you've now got an asset as well, and you've got this asset that you can build on. If you decide to move, you might even want to keep your asset and rent it out, okay? Because now you've got a passive income. You've got money coming in that all you have to do is take care of that property, right? So that's kind of the way to view it. If you're a first-time home buyer, look at it as an asset. Look at it as an investment, right? Because you probably will be somewhere else in 5 to 10 years. Yeah. If you view it that way, then it's going to grow for you. And it might even get you into more real estate, which is a great place to be from an investor standpoint.
Right. Great insights, Paul. Definitely. So how can you help with your business? How can you help home buyers, or whether it be first-time home buyers or investors who might want to open an Airbnb? How can you support them?
That's good. Thank you for asking. But we're gonna one thing that I like to do is help a home buyer when they're looking at a house. If it's a first-time home buyer, they're probably scared to death over the process because they've never been through it. What is these contracts? What am I looking for in a house? I see water stains. Oh my gosh, now the house is no. Okay, let's take a deep breath. One thing I'll do is, if you're going to look at a house, maybe you've looked at it once, you're going for a second showing, you're kind of thinking, hey, I like this house. Call me up. I will walk the house with you. Okay. I'll take you through the house. I'll point things out for you. Hey, this is good. Those water stains, don't worry about it. It's from one leak from the tub probably 20 years ago, and they've never gone away, because that's how house stuff works. It's not like what you see on TV where it's, oh, there's a water stain. Now there's mold in the entire house and we got to tear everything apart. Those situations are incredibly rare. Right. Most of the time, what you see are old stains. We're in old houses. Anyways, kind of take some of the panic out of it for a home buyer and let a home buyer say, yeah, I feel good about this house now, because now I know what I'm looking at and I'm not scared of the unknowns, right? Because that brings us all anxiety, is the unknowns, right?
Right.
Maybe if you're an investor, you're looking at a house, you want to Airbnb it, right? You've got money to spend, but you're like, I'm not quite sure how to get from point A of where the house is. You might be buying it cheap. It might be a fixer upper, to point B of those glamorous Instagram shots again, right?
Right.
So that's where I can come in and again, with your help and your input too, and really was we're going through the property, say, okay, if you want that open kitchen, we want an open concept for entertaining and things like that for an Airbnb. You know, with an Airbnb, you want your property to stand out from the competition, right? How do you do that? Well, that's where I can come in and just give you some quick advice. We can take these walls out. This one's load bearing, whatever it might be. This is partition wall. We can open our kitchen up. Let's put our cabinets here. That closet, let's get rid of that closet and make it a half bathroom or a full bathroom or whatever it might be. Let's put the laundry right here instead of in the entryway, because that's super inconvenient for everybody, right? So it can really help you kind of envision and dream a little bit and imagine, okay, this is what in reality it could look like with this type of property, right? Because I've been in a lot of houses, seen a lot of layouts, seen what can be done my own property. In my own house that I bought that I live in right now, it's older, was totally blocked off. And then I took 2 walls out, put in islands, and now I've got a big open concept.
Nice.
It sounds like this massive amount of work. Oh my gosh, I got to take walls out. It's really not. So kind of giving them a perspective of, hey, you can do this, right? And it's not as big a deal as you might think it is, right? The other piece to that too is being in the area. I've got friends who do roofing. I'm not a roofer myself, but I've got a guy I would trust implicitly. And if I needed a roof, he would be my phone call. Same thing with HVAC, same thing with electrical, right? Those are people that I would trust to work on my house. If you need help, use the connections that I've established over the last decade in the area, right? I trust them to work on my house. I have no problem referring you to them because you can trust them as well. So part of that is, who do I call if I've got a problem? You don't open a phone book anymore. You get on the internet, right?
Right.
You get on the internet. Hey, I need an HVAC contract. Gives you 40 options, and well, who do I call, right? That's the tough thing. So it's good to have one central point, and that's really what I've tried to model my business after. Is I'm one central point. I may not be the guy doing the work, but I know someone that you can trust to do the work, right? So if you have an issue, you've got one phone call to make. You call me, I can get you to the right person. That's kind of the idea too. I don't make any money off the roofing and everything like that, but that's what a lot of people want nowadays, is just someone that they know they can trust to come into their home, to come into their investment, right, that they have where they live, and to do quality work. And unfortunately, there are some bad apples out there who will take your money and run, right? So that's what I try to be, as a trusted contact for these folks, so that they know, okay, if I call Paul, I know he's got someone who can help me with this.
Great. Excellent. Excellent. And then your focus, like where you really get hands-on, is like you mentioned, moving a wall, redoing a bathroom, kitchen.
Yeah, that type of thing, like kitchens, bathrooms. You want to finish a basement. It doesn't have to be that big either. If you just want to update the trim in your house to something a little bit more modern, if you want to add crown molding, or you need a new floor, or things like that, I don't really have too many limitations. Plumbing is one of those things I don't get into.
All right.
Mostly because I don't want to, because it's kind of messy. And I know people who do that as well. So it's like, that's your specialty. Have at it, right?
Gotcha.
Roofing is the same way. Yeah, but and the way I use my time too is I don't charge these massive consulting fees just to have a conversation with you. If you want to come in, or if you want me to come to your house and just chat, think of some ideas, what it could be. I'll kind of send you some design concepts of here's what it could be. I mean, I do all that totally for free. So you want to dream, you want to imagine, let's do it together over a cup of coffee or something like that.
That's great. What an amazing resource. So thank you. Thank you for, taking some time to chat with us. What areas do you serve? What, if we're in Western New York, is there a certain boundary or?
Yeah, I pretty much, it depends a little bit on the job and the size of the job. If I give you an example, I was actually out in Rochester not too long ago, doing some fence repairs, which I don't love to do, but there was a friend and a tree fell on their fence, and well, they had to get something done, right? So,
right.
But typically I don't travel that far, but kind of Western New York area. I live in the North towns, South towns. It really doesn't matter to me. I used to drive a lot for a living, so driving really doesn't bother me.
Great, great. Well, we so appreciate this, Paul. Thank you for sharing your insights, giving us some food for thought, especially for newer investors or newer homeowners, soon to be homeowners, and just letting us know that we have a resource here in Western New York that we can reach out to, again, with Paul at Krown and Castle. So I look forward to working with you in the near future as well. And thanks for your time today.
Yeah, thanks so much, Vanessa. I appreciate it. And if you want to give me a follow, I'm on Instagram. It's Krown with a K _& Castle.
Excellent. Yeah,
I've got
perfect.
some project pictures up there and some fun stuff. And
great.
You can always message me through Instagram as well.
Okay, perfect. We will do.
All right. Thanks so much, Vanessa.
My pleasure. Take care.